We got a few game sixes here ready to tee up. We're looking forward to it.
No, I don't think that's possible. There's no way. There can't be.
Well,
you bet $100.
Rich Bonus owes me 100. Now Travis Green owes me 100. I wasn't expecting the shot. I don't know. I'll pay you losers. Look, you send me your emails and I'll e-transfer the $100. All right. Actually, Hayes, we're even because I won 100 last night.
No, we're not.
Yeah,
Dude,
we are.
We doubled down on Game 6 again last night.
I told you the Raps were not going to win Game 2.
You're right.
And you said I'll put a hunch on it.
That takes care of the Clippers, Mavs, Lakers bet. There you go. But then I'm up a hunch for the first Game 6 debacle from 24 hours ago. Then I doubled down yesterday, and Philly cashed me another hunch.
There wasn't a double down.
Oh,
No
they're
one
absolute
there was a
witness.
double down.
Noodles, witness. You
There
were there.
was. I mean,
Okay, so I owe Noodles 200, Ray 200.
No, Noodles
No.
didn't get in on the double
I didn't
down.
want in on
100
the
for me. How much for
Yeah.
you, Noodles? 100?
100, but I just want O to explain, because Ray, you weren't on when O tried to explain that why he didn't want to pay. And he said something about Rick Bonus. Now tell Ray why this is Rick Bonus's fault.
Rick or Rich Bonus, why would you put Ben Bishop in net? Ben Bishop came up to you and said, "I'm good to go, coach." You're up 3-1 in the series, and I said yesterday, Patrick Waugh in his prime is sitting his ass on the bench. Because I'm going with Hudobin to win this series. I'll regroup and readjust afterwards, but I'm not putting that guy in the net when it's convenient for him. Not a chance in hell. So Rick Bonus owes you guys 100.
No, but see, this is why. This would be like you make a bet, and in the World Series, and the starting pitcher's going along after 5 innings, he's doing a good job, and Manager Joe takes him out, and the relievers, the bullpen, just gets their butt kicked all over. You can't go to them and say, "Hey, you owe me the cash because your relievers, your bullpen sucked." No, you got to. That was your professional evaluation, and it was
Terrible comparison. That's a terrible comparison. We're talking about. It's.
Let's not forget the one that didn't go to 6 lost in double overtime.
Yeah, Boston.
Like it was almost a clean sweep. 0 for 4 parlay special. That's why the buildings are up in Vegas.
Okay, Hayes, you're the loser that had the casino in your apartment in university, okay?
Yeah.
So I owe you 100. I owe all three of you 100.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Hayes 200.
Yeah, you owe me more, but it's
you
fine.
come up with a bet where I can have a chance to make it.
All right, we'll
back.
talk in the morning. We'll work something out. Don't you worry about that. Okay, this is what I was thinking about earlier. All right, you guys tell me if I'm getting crazy here. We went through this in Vancouver with Corey Schneider and Roberto Luongo, where we knew that the incumbent was the man. He was older. You knew what you were getting out of him. But there was this kid that they had been grooming for a while, and they're like, we really like this guy. Is that where we're going here with Markstrom and Demko in Vancouver, simply because of Seattle? Like, Seattle's lurking, and I believe Demko would have to go unprotected. He's been a pro for 4 years. I don't think he would qualify as a guy that doesn't go on the list. And Markstrom's a free agent this year. So what happens in Vancouver?
Well, first to start with the difference, Bryan, is that Luongo had about 10 years left on his contract, or 5 years left on his contract, right? So Schneider was, they were at a point where they just couldn't keep them both. It was, and so they ended up getting a first-round pick, which turned into Bo Horvat for Corey Schneider. And then Luongo's career played out the way that it did. So now you've got a free agent 30-year-old in Markstrom and a 23-year-old who sure as hell looked like he's ready for prime time last night. I mean, he was awesome, and they love the kid. They love everything about him. They've loved the way he's developed. They love that he dominated the American League. He's put his time into the point where they're convinced that he's ready to be their top guy. So on a team with really some significant cap challenges, this would solve a little bit of it because your goaltending position would be rather inexpensive because Demko's so young.
So, Hayes, you're saying after one game now Demko's your guy?
No. Well, what I'm saying is you got to make a decision, though. Like, if you bring back Markstrom, Demko, I don't know if Seattle will definitely
My
claim him.
question is, you're telling me after one game they're going to be now they got something to really think about?
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know enough about him, but everything Noodles, you've talked him up for years. You said you think he's going to be a good goalie.
I think he will be a good goalie, but I think Markstrom's a better goalie.
Okay, so would you keep Markstrom and get rid of Demko? What do? You can only keep one. That's what it feels like now.
Here's what's going to happen: is if they keep Markstrom, if they re-sign Jacob Markstrom in the next month, they'll have to trade Demko, because looking at what's available for the expansion draft in Vancouver, and Demko would be part of that. Far and away, he would, in my opinion, he would be your pick. You would lose him for nothing. So you would probably have to trade him between now and whenever the next trade deadline is to someone to get anything, some kind of asset. Or you let Markstrom walk, you have Demko, you've got 53 goalies now that are going to be all bouncing all over the place because, today was the start of it with Jake Allen. But they're going to have to sign a veteran backup that can play 35 games. And it's not like, Noodles can talk to this here in a sec, but it's not one game with Demko. He's shown to them that they feel he's ready to get to the next spot. And the next spot is to play 50 games.
The Vancouver Twitter is Demko's the best winner right now.
Oh, yeah.
You got Vancouver Twitter makes Toronto Twitter look like child's play. It is incredible. And people that we know and work with lead the charge. Blake Price, I'm talking to you.
No, isn't it Al's brother? Isn't he a Vancouver guy too?
I think he does wear a couple of different hats, Al's brother.
His name is Mikey Canuck. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I'll tell you, there is some wildness to Canucks Twitter. Like, man, you voice any opinion, which of course I'm on the radio every day. It is like the place is on fire all the time.
Yes.
Like, we talked for 3 weeks about Jake Virtanen. I'm like, seriously, can we talk about something else? Anything? Should he be in the lineup? Should he be this? Should he be a power forward? Should he be like Alex Tuck? Yeah, geez, all that would be great. However, he's on the fourth line playing 7 minutes a night. And I think the coach would play him 20 minutes a night if he thought that would help. They didn't have a shot for 22 of the first 40 minutes last night.
I've talked to you about him, Ray. I'm sticking with him. He's my guy. I like him.
I think he's a young guy who needs to get more committed off the ice. That's I think
if Greeny can't bring that out of him, who the hell's going to?
He's not that young anymore. He was drafted 5 years ago or 4 years ago.
I know.
For what people think he could be, he doesn't seem to have that. Like he's big, but he doesn't run into anybody. He's fast. He doesn't use that enough. He's
got a cannon. He doesn't use that.
So, it's like at home in my garage, I have an unbelievable toolbox with a full set of tools. I don't know how to use any of them. They all look, some of them still are in the package. And I'm like, geez, I should probably learn to use that thing. Yeah, well.
No.
And so that's kind of where Jake is. He doesn't use his tools.
No, we've all played with guys, and this is, this isn't just Jake Virtanen, but like guys who have every tool, but between the ears, they don't think the game at a high rate, or they don't understand the game of what they need to do to make them effective every night. And they have to be a programmable player. I don't know how many times I've played with guys who are like, that guy could be the best player in the league if he just did this, this, and this every night. But for some reason, doesn't do it. I don't know. Can't think the game.
And they could really use them here because the fact that they're in Game 6, they're kind of like one of those boxers that just takes body blow after body blow, and somehow they get to the end and they win. Like last night, they had 17 shots, right? I think they had like 2, 3 or 4, probably 4 dangerous chances, and they scored on 2 of them.
Yeah.
Like it's somewhat a miracle actually that that they've extended this. But I'll tell you, with them that I've grown to really appreciate is that that team collectively gives what they have. They're not good enough, but it doesn't seem to matter. They they play as hard as they can, and you get as much as you can from everybody, and they've had unbelievable top-rate goaltending. Like, honestly, we're in Toronto market. If Toronto had goaltending like this, they would be a better team because these guys are playing top-level goal.
Thanks, Ray. Now we're going to have to talk about that comment for 2 weeks.
There's so much, we keep saying it. There's a lot of smoke around Freddie Andersen. It's like every insider in the business and certainly in the city is indicating that Freddie Andersen is on his way out. Like, it's just a matter of when, to where, and who is going to be his replacement. Like it feels like this has just taken another turn over the past 24 hours.
Well, and Ray just mentioned it, guys. Like, Jake Allen is the beginning, and I'm not even convinced that Bergey's going to keep him. I just think it's a good move on paper.
Good chip.
But you're also spending $15 million in the net when you need skill up front too, and you need a little bit more rounding out of your roster. But I think that's the first move of many for goaltenders. Many.
You're going to be busy, Jamie, dealing with all these goalies moving around.
Honest to God, I'm going to make a Jerry's here. I think there could be 12 goaltenders that change addresses here. I really, if Jacob Markstrom goes in Vancouver, if Robin Lehner potentially stays in Vegas, then Flower goes somewhere. Greiss is unrestricted. Holtby's unrestricted. Samsonov's going to take off there. Like, Matt Murray's on the block. Like, Frederik Andersen, potentially people are looking at him. Like, it's crazy. I bet you that it's almost a dozen goaltenders. Calgary needs a goaltender because Talbot's unrestricted. Edmonton needs a goaltender because Mike Smith is unrestricted. Like, you go throughout the league, even the backup in Winnipeg, Larry Brossoit, he's a unrestricted free agent.
Noodles
Laurent Brossoit.
What about Freddie Frances?
No, he's got 2 more years at $2 million. They extended him this year.
Frances.
He's got security. Listen to that. Hall of Famers are like, I don't know where I'm playing. Maybe the KHL next year.
Freddie Frances is locked up.
I made a list today. Holtby, Crawford, Lehner, Jimmy Howard, Markstrom, Greiss, Talbot, Hudobin, Mike Smith, Brian Elliott, Aaron Dell, Larry Brossoit, Louis Domingue. Ryan Miller, he's older, but, guys like that, they're all looking for jobs.
You better pick the right guy. You better pick the right guy, because that is the game. That's your whole season in many ways. If you're looking for a number one, it's one thing if you're looking for a backup. But if you're saying I need 55 starts from one of those guys, you pick the wrong guy. You're not going to make the playoffs.
And you know what's going to be interesting to that too is now it's not, you might have identified the guy you want, but because there's so many open chairs, how do you make the right offer without getting scooped for 2 years that you don't really want? Because now, can you fizzle down a guy's years or money because you've got other competition? Hey, if I don't get Braden Holtby, maybe I can get Corey Crawford. And then while you're playing back and forth with those guys, maybe you get neither. Don't forget, there isn't technically that week-long courting period that was changed in the CBA. Like, it's just, I don't know, whatever the date of free agency is going to be, it just starts. And so the GMs are going to have to be on it. Or you're right, Brian, like, you're going to end up, like, you're going to be cooked before you even get out of the gate. Some guy's going to have a brutal start in a new year, and you're going to go, ooh, I could have signed one of the other 7 guys that moved.
Yeah, that'll keep you up at night.
Noodles is going to be seeing post to post in his nightmares.
Well, I just think it's fascinating. I've never seen a year where I think 2 things. I mean, obviously goaltenders, Hayes, you always say it. It's the quarterback, it's the pitcher, it's the goaltenders. But it's never been more evident. Vancouver's not even in the same building last night if Demko doesn't stand on his head. Like, they come in third in that game. That's basically what happened. Like, we've seen it throughout the playoffs, and I thought Jaro Halak was good, but he's not Tuukka Rask. and that the team played different. Now, what's Boston going to do? Is Tuukka Rask going to come back? He's got 1 year left at $7 million. If he decides to retire, Halak's, there's Halak. They need a goaltender. You go right through it. Like, it's insane. I was looking at all these organizations, and you're right, Hayes. The game is so close nowadays. The parity that if you have a rough stretch with your starter for a month, you're on the outside looking in. Doesn't matter what team you have if you don't have a goaltender that can stop pucks for you.